everyone. Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. All right, guys. Well, taking you on my adventures once again, I got to meet my next guest at this incredible event that we went to in Texas. And when you get to meet someone that's doing really incredible things, it's just really exciting to open up a new pathway into what you even think is possible. And it's interesting because as we were talking, she's doing something similar to me where she is starting a program that she's going to be doing, helping people. And it's amazing because as things develop, the thing that you start sometimes isn't the thing that you end up with. It evolves along the way. And it's been really cool to see her evolve as she's been going through it. And then the cool thing is that after the workshop, I ended up sending her my podcast workshop and she started her podcast. So we have so many exciting things to talk about between all the stuff that she's been doing and all the stuff she's going to be doing. So I'm so excited to welcome Minnie to the show. Hey, Minnie.
Hi, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Me too.
Okay, so we are going to start with, I would love to hear your story because we talked a little bit about it the other day and I was really excited to dive in with you because your story is really what Do the Thing is about. You have this one thing that you're on the path for, and then you wake up and you're like, wait, I think maybe that's not the thing I want to do. I want to move over here. And so please share with us about you.
Yeah, this could be a really long story. I'm going to try to not to bore you to tears. But I grew up in a very academically focused family. And we had kind of a path chosen for us, for my sister and I, academic, science-y, that kind of thing, kind of what my parents knew. We followed that path. I ended up going to college, getting a degree in genetics. Then I ended up getting my doctorate in biochemistry and then ended up getting an MBA after that because I was on the school thing and didn't know what to do if I wasn't in school. So did that, worked in biotech for a while, but never felt that it was really my passion. I always felt like there was something else out there for me. And from a very early age, probably college age, I wanted to figure out a way that I could help other women just to expand, either work-wise or girls to feel strong enough to pursue challenging careers and that kind of thing. So that was always in the back of my mind. I never knew how quite to do that. And then, in the middle of it all, I had children. I started helping my husband with his business, and that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years, but still working in marketing and operations and things like that. So there was some familiarity with what I ultimately ended up doing, which I started my business, Winningly Media, about a year and a half ago, I think. And the whole idea was to help women entrepreneurs with social media advertising. So I create the ads for them. I help them with their avatars. And then I create funnels as well. So basically just helping them with that technical portion of their businesses, which a lot of people kind of get stuck in that. So did that for a while, had some clients, was helping people, enjoyed it, but it really wasn't filling my cup completely. And then my husband went through some health issues last year. And because of that, I was looking for ways to kind of, I guess, have some self-care. So figure out what I needed to do to stay strong for him and the family. And so I started looking more into astrology. I discovered mindset, manifestation, mantras. I created a mantra for myself and human design. And I mean, lo and behold, for someone who's basically got a science mind, it really needs proof for everything. This stuff really worked. I found changes happening very quickly in my life. And I attribute it to what I was doing there with the manifesting and human design and learning all those things, spending a lot of time there. And so I decided that, wow, it would be awesome to help women entrepreneurs as they're on the journey, figure out human design, what their profile is, and how to apply that in their content creation. And then ultimately to create their ads, their funnels, their email nurturing sequences, their newsletters, just all their messaging based upon human design and what they wanted to do with their business. So that completely lights me up. And I figured out, decades into this, finally figured out what I needed to do.
Isn't it amazing when you kind of connect the dots backwards because you're wanting to do something and then as you're following your own aliveness, you're able to really tap into what it is. And now all these dots have connected from your science mind to your business mind, to your marketing mind, to that part of you that just needed to take care of yourself and replenish. And now you've connected it all together to do what you're doing now.
It's really interesting because I don't look at any of it as a waste of time because it all brought me to this point. Every little piece that I was learning brought me to this. And human design really has a lot of basis also in quantum physics. So then when I was doing the research on that, that helped my kind of science mind to be like, okay, there's evidence here. This isn't just fluff that's out there that some people believe in. I mean, I think it's becoming reality. I think a lot of people are getting into human design now and are understanding it more. And as more people understand it, now we're starting to apply it into our businesses. I think we're just going to see more and more of that.
So for the listeners, I'd love to talk more about what human design is.
Yeah, so human design is basically, the way that I explain it is if you think about your genetic code, your DNA code, that's kind of what's describing your phenotype, kind of like what you look like, maybe your diseases you might be predisposed to and things like that. And human design is more the other side of it, is I look at it as your personality code or your soul's code. So it's kind of like what is the energy you're putting out there and what is attracting people to you. So it's based upon quantum physics, like I said, the I Ching, Kabbalah, Hindu chakras, astrology. It kind of takes all of these very ancient disciplines and puts them all together into one, where when I first did my profile, I just couldn't believe how much it really rang true with me. So I would say it's more like a personality code. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it much easier. If you apply it to work, what you're doing is you're attracting those people based upon what you're putting out there. Mm-hmm. So each person has their own human design profile. And depending on what your messaging is, you're going to attract exactly the right people to you that is based upon your human design profile. So it really helps with content creation specifically, because you're going to get those people that want to hear your message.
Yeah, because you're tapping into your soul, which then connects to their soul pretty much. It's like a soul match. You're helping.
Well, exactly. And I think what you're doing is you're bringing in the exact type of people that you want to work with, because sometimes you might have a client that comes in and you want to help them, but somehow you're just not jiving very well with them. And it's not because anything's wrong with either person. It's just that there's just something off with the way that you connect. When you meet somebody and you might meet them just one time and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is my new best friend forever. It's because you connect at that level. And you can never really explain what that was, but this explains what that is. It's that personality is attracted to your personality for very specific reasons.
So there's so much that I love about this, but one of the things too is you have the education to back it, right? I know when I first started following Joe Dispenza, it helped that he's a physicist, right? Is that what he is? Yeah, a physicist, because it was like, okay, it almost helps you buy the belief more when you're learning from someone that has the education. And I feel like there's a lot to that doctorate that you got to be able to see, I've studied this, I know what I'm experiencing. Like you said, it's coming from data too.
Yeah. And I need that data. It's hard for me just to say, okay, but for me, it was more, the data was really important, but it was also just what I went through and just kind of applying some of those teachings into my life and finding that, oh my gosh, this really made a difference for me. And you have to believe it. That's the other thing. You can't come into it thinking that, okay, I'm just going to say this to myself, or I'm just going to meditate, or human design, let's just try it kind of thing. You have to completely come into it with an open mind that, yes, this is going to work for me. And I completely believe it. When you do that and open yourself up completely, then you see the changes happening.
What's your mantra?
Oh my gosh, it's so long. It's become longer and longer. Well, I can fumble through it a little bit if you want, at least the beginning part of it.
Yeah.
So the beginning part is, I thank the universe for bringing me joy, love, abundance, health, wealth, and money. I attract and accept them all. And I truly believe that. I attract it and accept them all. And you say it like it's already happened to you. Not that you're asking, you're saying, thank you for bringing all that to me. And in your subconscious, then you believe it. The whole thing is, it's not just saying it and thinking, yeah, I kind of believe it. Your subconscious has to believe it. Yeah. It's like when you have a dream, in your dream, you're being chased by, let's say, a lion. You wake up and you're sweaty and maybe you're crying. It's because in your subconscious actually is believing that happened. So similarly, your subconscious has to believe that, okay, she has joy, love, abundance, health, wealth, and money. she's attracting all of them. It's a similar kind of thing. So you train your body to actually believe that this is happening to you. And once you really feel like this is who I am and this is what I believe, those things come into your life in unexpected ways. I think the first thing that happened to me was I had gone to Chicago to visit my daughter who was in college, and I was staying at this hotel downtown. And in my head, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to be upgraded to a better room? I got there and they upgraded me to a king suite. It was amazing. It was on Lake Michigan. It was the most amazing thing. And then similar things have happened to me as just effortlessly being upgraded to first class on a flight and just easily.
Yeah. What would you advise someone to do that wants to create their own mantra? What would be a way that they could create one?
I would say think about some things that you really want in the next year. Now that we're coming up on a new year, it's a great time to really sit and think about what you want in the new year and then apply it as if it's already happened. Create a couple of sentences in your head as if something has already happened. Let's say, and it could be something as simple as I want to go to London for vacation this summer. Say I'm going to London and I'm so excited to be going. And I'm going to have a wonderful time. And I'm going with my spouse or my friend. And we're going to stay at a luxurious hotel. And we're going, just start completely imagining what's going to happen. And then come up with a mantra that's 2 or 3 sentences long about that. And then I say mine out loud. The 10 minutes that I'm driving to the office and the 10 minutes that I'm driving home. So I save that time rather than listening to music or the other things that I love to do. I save that as my time when I speak my mantra out to the universe.
Yeah, it's so good. And the timing of this is really great. Serendipitous is because I'm doing the bucket list challenge in January. So it's coming up soon. And if you guys are listening to this, most likely it's already out. But it's pretty much, I actually was just hiking with a friend of mine this morning and she was telling me how she's doing that Kilimanjaro hike. And I all of a sudden was like, I want to do that. That sounds really cool. It's like hiking for 7 days. And so anyway, I'm already in my head. I haven't planned it yet because we just happened this morning, but I'm already in my head doing it. Right. And so before you know it, I'm probably going to be booking the date for it. But it's interesting how you're able to just the certainty and you said the belief, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's also, it's not only attracting the things to you, but it helps you take action even more because you're putting it out into the world.
Right. At so many levels, I think it's important. And I think that the energy, so it's been shown that your brain waves can be measured outside of your body. So the energy that's coming from your brain is actually outside. It's not just all held within your body, which to me, that provides a lot of evidence that if your energy is already outside your body, then why can't it interact with the other energy in the universe? And that's kind of what it really is. It's all based on that in quantum physics. So I love that. I love that you're already thinking about Kilimanjaro after just a few hours.
I know. Now I'm recording it, so now I'll remember. So when I listen back to this, I'll be like, okay, if I haven't booked it, I'll be booking it. I'm sure for 2025 sometime. So I'd love to kind of go back to you with the doctorate, because I feel like when you go through school like that, right, and then you end up investing the time, the money, and all of that, right, and then you're getting that itch. You've had this calling because you knew you wanted to help women, but you just didn't know how that was happening yet. How did you actually make that leap from that to your business?
Yeah. So like I said, it's been about 1.5 years or a couple of years since I started my business. And it's because my children were growing up. 2 of them are actually out of the house now. And I have 1 left who's almost done with high school. And I've been helping my husband for 15 years with his business. And at some point, you kind of have to figure out, are you going to bite the bullet and jump or are you not? And I think it was hard for my husband because he's so used to having me around all the time, sort of as the support person in the background. And so for him, his happy place is when I'm still that support person. So it was a leap for me. And so it kind of kept me from doing anything because he kept wanting me to be there to help him all the time. And so when he fell sick about 1 year ago, that was the huge push for me because not only did I feel like I needed something that was grounding for me to get through that, but also what if he couldn't go back to work? If something happened and he couldn't go back, then I needed to step up and have my own career. And so that was the point where everything just started happening all at once. It was almost like again, I just felt like the universe was telling me and everything started falling into place.
Yeah. And it's almost like that feather brick semi-truck analogy where sometimes it takes a semi-truck. It sucks though. Let's get it on the feather, guys. But it does. It's like that's how you wake up sometimes when something like that happens and you realize just life is really short and we've got to be able to do the thing and whatever it is that thing is to us.
Exactly. And I think that maybe there was a feather at some point. Maybe there was a gentle nudging. And maybe that was me wanting to do something to help women and trying to figure it out. And I was getting the message that there's something else out there that you should be doing. But I didn't know and I wasn't ready because I was still getting the education and getting all the skill set up in the background so that I could ultimately leap off into what I wanted to do. So it's interesting because my human design profile is a manifestor generator. And I'm a responder. So what that means is instead of initiating things, I take things as they come into me and then I respond to those. So what's interesting is the whole thing about my husband getting sick. That was the response I had to that. It wasn't like I decided, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create social media ads for women entrepreneurs and I'm going to do human design and help them with content creation. No, it was that my husband got sick and then I responded to it. And that's when everything started flowing really easily.
Yeah. And I'd love you to share more about this idea of a lot of people think when you're doing something like what you're doing, that you have to have this huge plan and have every step figured out along the way. But really what it sounds like is you're just knowing your next step. And then as you do that step, then something else unfolds. And eventually it turns into something that you wouldn't even have imagined because you just keep moving.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you've probably gone through that too. I think you find like both of us have a similar mentor and we were both at that meeting and I learned a lot there. At the same time, I met a lot of fantastic women doing amazing things. And so I think part of it was just the connections that we made and listening to other people's ideas. Because remember, she had us do an exercise where we had to listen to what other people thought of us, which was kind of cringy because you're like, oh my gosh, don't tell me anything about myself. I don't know. But just listening to that just opens your mind up to, okay, people see me this way. I need to focus on those things. I think that that's really true. And probably for both of us, what we're doing now may not be what we're doing 5 years from now. I mean, I think that's the one thing I've learned is don't put so much pressure on myself. Going through that education in my younger years, I think made me feel that way. Like you have to plan it, then you have to get this kind of a job. And then and now I feel like, no, you don't. You have a plan, of course, but then you also and human design also has helped me shift my thinking a little bit on that as you just take your time and you follow your path and you look at your profile and you follow what comes innately to you.
Yeah. So you're basically helping people through this human design really to tap into their intuition. And then through that, that's going to help them attract the person that is the match for that.
Absolutely. And I would think that it's like having an intuitive business for the women that I work with, helping them to create a business using their intuition and using what's innately feminine. And I think in many ways we live in such a masculine world. And I mean, 80s movies are so descriptive of that, like women walking around in suits in corporate America, trying to be more masculine and that kind of thing. Of course, we have masculine abilities as well as women, but we can also tap into those feminine innate qualities we have, which are more nurturing and listening and those kinds of things to make a difference and to impact our business. There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah. So the timing of this is so good because right now my program is I'm helping people basically build an online community, which can pretty much kind of turn into a movement if they want to, but it's monetizable essentially. And when I built Do the Thing, it was so intuitive. I really felt guided the whole time. And it's not until now I have 3 people I'm working through the program that I'm realizing all those dots that connected and how it even happened. I didn't even know because it happened so naturally for me. And so it is really interesting when you actually are able to realize, oh my gosh, I've just been moving through it just because I'm telling myself to and not having to question everything and ask people things. You just literally are like, okay, this is what I'm doing and I'm just going to follow that.
And what feels right to you.
Yeah.
You know, not forcing anything. That's the thing. If you work within your profile, you're not forcing anything. It just comes naturally to you.
So what would you advise someone that is listening to this and they're like, okay, Minnie, I'm feeling that, totally just landing with what you're saying, and they're kind of in that stuck place and they're wanting to make a change. What would you tell that person?
So I think that if they're just wanting to make a change, but they're not, let's say they don't have a business, but they're just looking for that change in their life, just go online and find your human design chart. And it's going to ask you some questions. You can find a website that'll allow you to do that. And then you'll determine what your profile is. And then they have all kinds of numbers that may or may not make sense to you. But some of them you can actually just, it will explain. Are you a manifestor generator? Are you a generator? Are you a reflector? Like there's different things. And so I would say go to that as a first step and just get into that. There's also great books out there that help you kind of understand some of this a little bit more. So start reading. But if you do have a business and you want to apply human design into your business to see how that can change your entire messaging, and if you need help with that kind of thing, that's what I do. So I can help you with that content creation to reflect your human design. And then I can also either create the ads for you for social media, or I can teach you how to do it. So that's kind of how I would step into that. But if you just want to go in there and figure out what is your profile, you can just go online and do that yourself.
And with the people that you're helping, what has that been like? Have you noticed anything common with the women that you've been able to help them work through?
So the women that I'm currently working with are a couple of e-commerce projects and then one who is the coach. And I do feel like the coach gets more out of it because she's kind of into that anyway. So as soon as I bring up human design and connection and that kind of thing, I feel like the coaches are much more interested and excited about it because they need to connect with their clients, obviously. So for e-commerce, it's not as important. It depends on what you're selling, I guess. But I think for coaches and consultants and experts and personality brands, that's where it really can make a huge difference because you have to find those people you connect with. If you're coaching somebody and you just feel like, gosh, I just don't get this person, and that can happen. So I think it's been very helpful with the coaches.
And what would be your biggest piece of advice for people on doing the thing?
Well, I think your advice is great, which is just do it. Just get out there and do it. I also think that you have to listen to yourself and what's going to work for you based upon, and that's also human design. Not everybody's the same way. Not everybody can jump on the horse and go 100 miles an hour. Some people need to take their time. They need to learn it on their own. They have to sit with it for a while, contemplate. And so I think don't feel like there's just one way that you have to be in order to succeed. I think we have so many different opportunities and timelines and that kind of thing. So I think that as women and men, but since I'm focusing on women, I just feel like we need to go with our intuition, go with our gut, and take your time, and it'll happen. It'll happen, but just take little steps.
Speaking of that, somebody started a podcast.
I wonder who that is.
It's cool because there's so many people that can do something online or get something online, and then it's still sitting there a year later. But within a day, you're like, oh, I started my podcast.
Well, I mean, you were instrumental in that. You made it really easy showing me how to do that. I mean, part of it is that kind of insecurity that what if I set it up wrong? But you were just like, nope, this is how you do it. It's easy. Just go for it. So, I mean, thank you for that. So it was easy for me to get it all going. So I'm starting it in January, and it's going to be the hows and whys of women entrepreneurs. And basically just speaking to women that have done it, started their own companies, small, medium, large, and their pain points, what they went through, the successes, how do they tap into their feminine energy, and hopefully just to be an inspiration to all of us. We can all do this, and here's all these amazing people who have done it before us. So
amazing. Well, please share with everyone the name of your podcast again, and then also how they can find you if they want help.
So the podcast is the hows and whys of women entrepreneurs. I may change that a little bit, but right now that's what it is. And yeah, you can reach out to me. My email is minnieg, MINNIEG, @winninglymedia.com. I know that's a little bit of a mouthful, but that's probably the best way to reach me because I'm always checking my phone as we all are. Or you can go on my Facebook page, which is Winningly Media on Facebook. So
Thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey. I loved it.
Yay. And for the listeners, do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.